Hello, hello. I'm always just a little bit unsure if it comes into Facebook right away from Zoom or not. So let's see what's going on. I also never know how to check my comments when I do it through Zoom. So hopefully we will get here. So let's see how we are doing. Let me just double check on Facebook. All right, it says I'm live. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, let's do this. So we are back for another incredible Facebook Live with you guys. And I just wanted to say a quick hello. I am still in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and I'm curious to know if you're watching live, where are you calling, watching in from? And if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, and let me know also where you are watching from. All right, so just before we get started, I wanted to go over, I asked in my stories this week, what kind of stopped people in their tracks when it came to their future self? And so what I find to be really interesting is, what does that future self look like? What would she, do right now if you didn't have to worry about anything? And here is some of the answers I got. So my future self would be lying on a beach enjoying a book and not having to worry about doing any of the hard to do work. Okay, I love that. First of all, that is a beautiful future self image. In order to get that, of course, we do have to do some work still. So let's talk about that. My future self is basically in a situation where I am talking on stage, helping and sharing people and making them smile. And I love that one. I think that's such a great one because, when it comes to seeing and becoming your future self, this is what we're talking about. So it's getting our creativity hat on and really looking at how we can make this happen. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. What we're going to do last week, if you're here, welcome back. This week, we are talking about a little bit deeper, because last week you talked about the visual gap, right? That gap that you see between where you actually are and where you're showing up online. And the response was really exciting. Lots of people had questions. I ended up creating a visibility assessment from a lot of those questions, and I'll post it somewhere so you can take it if you haven't already taken that assessment. But today we're going to go one layer deeper, because fixing the gap isn't just about better photos, okay? Better photos are great. It's super important, but it's about being able to see who you are becoming clearly enough to actually become her. And that's it. So here's the thing I want you to sit with before we do anything else, okay? Most entrepreneurs I work with are already doing work. They're growing, they're evolving, they're becoming someone different. And I love that for them. But there's still a gap, because what they're becoming and what they can actually see when they look in the mirror or on a website or on social media, that's the gap. That's a visual problem that we're looking at, right? So it's not just visual, but it's also commitment to ourselves, because our brain can't fully commit to a future that it has never seen. And this is not mindset talk. This is neuroscience, and that changes everything about how we approach visibility work. So that's really, really important. So again, for those who don't know me or you're new here, I'm so glad you found your way in. My name is Lindsay Hack. I am the founder of The Identity Hacker, and I've been working with entrepreneurs on identity, visibility, and transformation for over 2 decades. And for the last couple of years, I've been specifically working at that intersection of AI and personal branding, helping coaches, founders, business owners close that gap between who they are and how they show up online. And last week, because we talked about the visual gap, this week we're going to go deeper into the identity work that's underneath that. So let's go. If you have a pen and paper and you want to take notes, here's where we start. So why do vision boards not work? So let me ask you this. Have you ever done a vision board before? I've taught vision board workshops for over 15 years. I'm certified as a vision board workshop host. I love them. But what I have found is there's a disconnect between creating vision boards and designing the life that you want. So if you have, I'd love to hear in the comments, if you're watching live or the replay, how many can honestly say that it worked the way you hoped it had? Because here's what I've seen a lot of the time. Someone has a beautiful vision board that fits the images of the life they want, their home, their wardrobe, their confidence, their business. And when they look at it every day, it just doesn't feel right. right? Or worse, it feels so far away from where they actually are that they're not convincing themselves when they look at it. It almost feels too big of a dream. So here's what happens. Every single image on that board is someone else, right? Back when we were doing it through magazines and glue guns, we were finding houses and cars and, whatever, and we were trying to fit our life into that. Now with Pinterest and online like Canva, we're able to add a little bit more. But when it's somebody else's face, somebody else's life, somebody else's brand, your brain knows it. It just knows it. And so no matter how many times you look at that image to get that confident woman presenting on stage, that woman isn't you. And the subconscious registers that as somebody else's future, not yours. Hello, Harsha. Hello. The visualization works. Again, manifestation works. I love all of those, but the tool has to work as well because the neuroscience is solid. The problem is the content. The images aren't you. And that's a really big piece of this. So a lot of people say to me, Lindsay, this is so woo-wooey, I'm not sure I could get on board. I promise you it's the neuroscience of seeing yourself, not just the manifestation, the affirmations, the meditations, those type of stuff. If that's not your thing, that's fine. I'm not here to convince you otherwise. But what is important is changing the images to you and how the brain responds to that. So your brain has something called mirror neurons, and they fire both when they do something and when they watch somebody do something. So the reason watching someone eat delicious food makes your mouth water, it's the reason why watching somebody do something amazing, you're like, oh yes, or sports fans have their heart rate spike even though they're not playing the game. That's how visualization works when done correctly. And this is the important part, because when you look at an image of yourself, your face, your energy, your presence, in the future you're moving towards, something completely different happens. And it stops being inspirational and starts becoming a memory, right? Your brain begins to treat this like something has already happened. And when your brain believes something's already happened, it stops asking whether it's possible or not and starts asking when or how or shift. That shift is from could this happen to when is this happening or has it already happened? And that's the big difference between traditional vision boards and the ones that are creating and changing your behaviors. And this is exactly why I started building this myself. If you don't know my story, I couldn't visualize at all. I'd had coaches and client books, and I even sat with the Dalai Lama in India, and I was not able to see. It was always just blank. And so when I started playing with AI images about 2 years ago, I put it into my own vision board just for fun, just for me. And I could not believe that I finally could see her and see who she was becoming. And once you see her, you can't unsee her. And so for me, that was a massive, massive moment of, oh my gosh, if I'm like this, so many people are not also like this. And the people who could use traditional vision boards are now getting a whole, almost like a super vamp way of using their vision boards. And so the generic images were no longer needed. We wanted the confident, the beautiful strategies of you stepping in. And that's what is happening here, is focusing on how to create the version of yourself that you're becoming. So I'm going to quickly share my screen here because I want to show you this in real time. All right, so let me just make sure that I can come in here and share my screen, because I want you to totally see what I mean by changing the view, because this is really, really powerful. Now, remember, disclaimer, this is still somebody else. This is not going to be you. But I want you to see, if you've never seen these ones before, I'm going to show this to you. This is part of a workshop that I do. And this is the screenshot that I am very, very passionate about, because here's what happens. Okay. I created this image for Nellie. She is an incredible coach, and she wanted a picture of her in Paris. And what did she do? Less than, I don't even know, a week later, she designed and started selling her retreat in Paris, and it's happening. It's happening. All right. Louise booked her volunteer trip to Africa because she really wanted to go to Africa with her kids. She wanted to see that, and she had never seen it before. Right? Lisa, she was already doing incredible things on the stage. She wanted to become an international speaker. And so we created some images for her, and she's now ended up speaking in Africa, Canada, and beyond. So she is doing those things, and she's becoming that person. Michelle applied for her dream job in a safety because she'd never seen her outfit. I wanted to do that for her. Ben signed up for his 100K trail race, and Steph booked her trip. She wanted to do the Tour de France trip on her bicycle. She did it last summer. It was such an incredible thing for her. So here's the power of that, right? When we are working within our absolute becoming frame, that's what happens. So it's not stock photos. It's not a model. It's not a random beautiful person. It's you. AI creates the image using your photos, your face, your energy, and the version of you you're moving towards. And when my clients see that, when I saw it for the first time, I'm not going to lie, I ugly cried. I definitely ugly cried because I'd never seen her before. But my clients were like, hold on, wait a second. I've never seen her before that. I've never seen that of her before. And that is who I'm becoming. And now that I see her, you can show up like her every single day. And that's the moment. That's when your future self stops becoming a concept and becomes a decision to show up every single day because you are seeing her, you are becoming her, you are acting like her. Okay. I have a client that had written 20 years, had talked about writing a book. She never did. She'd always sit down, start to write and think to herself all those negative thoughts. Who am I? What am I? Nobody cares what I have to say. Okay, I created her an image sitting in front of her audience at her book launch, holding her book. And when she sat down with that image, when she went to write, she then was able to see that it's happening. And now she's a published author. And I'm happy to say that it was because it started as a dream, turned into a concept, and the concept became a decision. And that's the beauty of what we're talking about, because you can't unsee that. You can't unsee yourself at that level. Once you see her, you start showing up differently. You are in your content, in your conversations, in your offers. The image does something that affirmations and goal setting and Pinterest boards could not help, right? It could not help because it was other people's photos. So it's about to make her real. So we talked a little bit about the identity gap last week, and I want to bring that in because when we think about the visual gap that we are talking about from your website to LinkedIn to Facebook to socials, right? It's the disconnect between who you're becoming and how you're showing up in your marketing right now. And when that gap exists, your audience feels it. They don't necessarily know how to name it, or something just feels slightly off, but the photos don't quite match the vibe or the voice. If somebody had met me in real life and then they saw some of my images, this was even a few years ago, they'd be like, that presence, I'm not quite sure. It's just a little bit off, right? And slightly off means they hesitate, means they don't necessarily trust, means they scroll right past. So the question that I want you to sit with is, if your future self, the version of you, you've already decided she's visible, she's already at the level that you're moving towards, walked into your profile right now, would she recognize herself? Would she look around and say, yep, that's me? Or would she look around and think, not quite yet? That's the gap that we're closing. And it's not just visibility, right? It's not just visibility. It's identity first, always. This is my opinion about it. So the visual is the evidence. The identity comes part of it. So I want you to know what's happening next Thursday. I am doing an entire workshop on your future self, the identity gap, why seeing yourself changes everything. And that's exactly what Thursday, April 16th is built around. So it's a $47 workshop called See Her, Become Her, Show Up as Her, right? We are going to do this together. I'm going to show you how to create the images. I'm going to show you how to use the images. And then I'm going to show you how to, and you're going to do this with me. It's not just a teaching workshop. You're going to walk away with doing it yourself. Right? You're going to create them, you're going to live them, and you're going to do it right there with me along the way. Now, instead of it just being a shorter live or a shorter workshop, this is a 2-hour workshop to answer questions, to make sure you get all the information along. But the version of you who's already decided, she's already visible, she's already here, she needs to be in your marketing. She needs to be in your content. She needs to be the face of the audience that finds walking around, talking around, being that person to trust. And so this Thursday, a week today, 10:30, same time as this one starts, $47. I'll drop the link in the comments right now, and you can grab your seat while they're still available. And I just want you to remember that everything about what we're doing is building towards that future version of you, that visibility, that visual, person that comes into your world. And that's super important. So before I let you go, I want you to leave you with one thing today, not homework, right? Today. Right? Take the free visibility assessment that I'm going to post. Okay. It takes less than 5 minutes. It scores your online presence across 6 categories, and it tells you exactly where your gap is and what to fix first. Most people who take it are really surprised at what comes back. Right? I had some people say, oh my gosh, I got a 54 out of 100. I got a 52. I got a 12. And I do a red, yellow, and green scenario. So top priority, less than priority, because again, we don't want to change all of it. But it will give you an opportunity to start and look at what you've been thinking about anyways. And it is a really good leeway into what we're going to be doing on April 16th. So again, take a look for the link, get yourself registered, take the assessment and find out your score, and then come back next Thursday and we're going to build it together. Thank you so much, of course, for being here with me. I appreciate you being on live or watching the replay. This community means everything, and I love to be able to share with you not only my own personal experiences, what I have really found to be helpful, but also with the clients that I've been working with. So I'll see you in the comments, and I'll see you next Thursday. Have yourself a fantastic day, and I'll speak soon. Bye.